Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for Comics Revisited. Today, Venom, Enemy Within. That's right, everybody. Welcome to Comics Revisited, the show where we revisit comics. That's right, we're looking back through Venom comics right now, because there was the recent movie, it's Halloween time, all that jazz. So we got to get into Venom. Enemy Within is very appropriate for Halloween time, I would say. Absolutely. It starts off on Halloween, right? Yeah. Right? It's got the little Halloween
it's got the Halloween, the trick-or-treaters and the one wearing the Spider-Man costume.
Absolutely,
that was my favorite part, I think.
That was absolutely really cool. I remember getting that first issue. We'll talk about it in just a second. So it's available in this Enemy Within trade paperback, which also has Funeral Pyre and the Madness, which we talked about over the last 2 weeks. And Enemy Within, and an Incredible Hulk story that we'll just briefly touch at the end of this video. Enemy Within, first of all, I had this really super awesome glow-in-the-dark cover for issue number 1. I remember loving that cover. I have that cover still. It's over in a box over there. One of those.
One of those boxes?
Yeah, one of those. It glows in the dark. If we turned out the lights, we could see it.
Yeah, I remember I had a Ghost Rider issue that was
from the Midnight Suns story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I used to. I thought that was awesome.
If you want to know anything about the history of gimmick covers in the 90s, pick up every Venom number 1, right? Seriously.
It's like they cover all the bases.
Absolutely, they do. So if you want to check out that trade paperback and those other stories, you can get add a link down below to Amazon and help support PCP at the same time. So that's pretty dope. So let's talk about Enemy Within. Basically, the gist of the story is Venom, once again, in San Francisco. There's this dude who was a prisoner in Alcatraz and found this evil, magical grimoire, right, if you will, and unlocks this army of goblins. And the army of goblins help him escape from prison.
Yeah.
And then he, to get rid of them, buries them underground, right?
Yeah.
And then uses the dark arts that he learns in this dark book to eventually put himself in such a position where he's a mayoral candidate, right? So he's calling to be the new mayor of San Francisco, right? Meanwhile, an earthquake happens while he's doing all this, right? And unleashes this goblin army. So it's basically Venom versus goblins. And we were talking about how all these Venom books are team-ups. Spider-Man, Punisher, Juggernaut. This is Morbius and Demogoblin.
Yeah.
And it kind of happened around, I guess, the same time as Maximum Carnage.
I think
they don't really reference that he knew him, so I guess
then again, when I think about it, they didn't really interact as much in Maximum Carnage. At least not Venom and Morbius.
You're right, because Venom kind of got taken out during that time a little bit too. Plus, maybe it took place right before Maximum Carnage happened, even though it was released simultaneously.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? So basically, these goblins show up, and out of nowhere, for no reason at all, Morbius gets transported from New York to San Francisco. I guess the goblins are trying to bring about their king or something.
They're doing something.
I don't know. They bring Morbius over. He's thrown in it. He interacts with Venom. They kind of fight.
Yeah, it's really weird, because in this issue you have Venom, Morbius, and Demogoblin. 3 characters that have these weird speech...
Yes.
Weird ways of speaking and everything.
Yeah, and the bubbles.
It's like it's almost too much.
Everybody has a different balloon. Yeah, it's almost too much. Because then the same thing happens to Demogoblin. He's in New York and gets zapped over there. Right? I guess they're looking for... I don't know. I guess they're looking for their... I guess they're looking for their Goblin King or something. I have no idea what that is. But, so the ultimate story is this dude who's trying to become the mayor, and he's this evil, dark magician. He is actually responsible for the goblins. Demogoblin shows up in the midst of all this chaos, grows big, and I was expecting...
Kaiju Demogoblin.
I was expecting Venom to grow big to fight him, right? So Demogoblin grows big, and he's got all these goblins are following him, and these goblins are, killing people this whole damn story from the beginning. And when I read the first issue, being a kid, the glow-in-the-dark cover, right? The Halloween theme. Demogoblin going to be in the story. Goblins, Morbius. It was the early to mid-90s. We loved Venom and Morbius and Demogoblin. We loved that
all
stuff.
The dark characters were making a real comeback in the 90s.
You know I'm a big Halloween horror movie type guy, right? So, it was just something I ate up. I just loved it. So I'm glad we're doing this video around Halloween time. Yeah, it's a Spider-Man, Captain America, and Wolverine, the little kid costumes. I thought those costumes were so cool. They look like the old school costumes, a little bit. But that's a really nice Wolverine mask.
Yeah.
That really is. But the artwork is really solid on this one. I really like it. It's Doug Mcleod who did the pencils, and he also inked it as well. Tom Smith's colors is really good. This is written by Bruce Jones. By the way, Bruce Jones who did that incredible Hulk run, where with Mr. Blue and Mr. Green. Do you remember that? John Romita Jr.
Kind of, yeah.
Mike Deodato Jr. All the junior artists were doing it at the time.
All the juniors.
Bruce Jones has done one of my favorite runs of the Incredible Hulk. Or maybe I'll do a top 5 of my favorite Hulk runs. Sometime soon or something. Something like that. Anyway, I love the artwork. I think it's cool. I like the artwork. I just don't like the story. I like Bruce Jones. The dialogue still works sometimes, but like, even though it's got like, and there's this evil cult, and it's got this Halloween theme, and all these goblins, and Demogoblin, and Morbius, but it makes no sense. It makes less sense than the madness.
Like, let's throw these characters together and then have this story thing happen.
Yes.
And that's as far as they got.
At least the madness was trying to do something. It was trying to speak on something. It was trying to say something. This is just like, what characters you want me to use? Sure. I feel like Bruce Jones phoned this in. I don't think he gave a shit about Venom. I don't think he gave a shit about Morbius or Demogoblin or any of that thing. I was just like, yeah, sure. Let's do it. You know, he was kind of a horror writer. Yeah. You know, so I guess that's why he was doing it. But, like, I don't know. I don't... This one doesn't hold up very well, Brooks. What do you think?
It's just pretty... I mean, this is like for hardcore Venom fans only.
Yes.
Story, really.
Because even we can barely handle it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not like one of the worst things I've ever read. But it's not good.
Yeah. It's not good. And so basically now... So the ultimate climax of this whole story is... I don't even remember how Dude gets stopped. I don't even remember how Dude gets stopped. There's where they're telling the story.
Demogoblin kills all the goblins.
Yeah, Demogoblin leads this army after he grows big. Yeah. And he leads them to the bridge. And Venom and all them are trying to fight him. And all he's trying to do is just lead them to jump off the bridge. Because apparently, even though they were buried underground for like 30 years or 20 years or however long it was, that wasn't enough to kill them. But jumping off of the Golden Gate Bridge, that's enough to kill these goblins.
There's like... To this day in the Marvel Universe, there's like a mound of goblin skeletons.
Yes.
In the San Francisco
Bay. Yeah, so that's basically Venom and Morbius seem to be fighting this dude. Yeah, and the last thing that happens is Demogoblin. So they defeat the dude right here. Yeah. Oh, the goblins eat him. He's killed by his own goblins. You know what's crazy? Is we just read...
Oh my god!
We just read this recently, and we remember Demogoblin leading them all off the bridge, but we didn't remember what happened to the mayor dude, the evil dude. We didn't remember. We had to look it up. And he gets eaten by his own goblins. That's pretty cool. Ultimately, yeah, this is still silly. Yeah. I love Bob Mcleod's artwork, though. I think the artwork's great. What do you think?
The art's really good, I think.
Yeah,
still.
I think so, too. So the story's just a little weak. So that's what we think about that. There was an Incredible Hulk Venom one-shot that went around. That was done by Peter David, and I really almost don't want to name the artist because I can't say I'm a fan of his work on this issue once I find it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the plot of the story?
Well, there's an earthquake, and the Hulk is there, and Venom and the Hulk fight.
It's San Francisco. You got to have a Hulk. I mean, an earthquake story, right?
And there's a dude with an earthquake machine, and they're like, he's been sending letters into the newspaper or something.
I know it's written by Peter David. I'm trying to figure out who the artist was.
It's like he's holding the city for ransom or something.
Yeah, and they think it's the Hulk doing the earthquakes. It's basically the whole plot of Batman No Man's Land. Like right before that was Cataclysm, and Ventriloquist took over and said that he was the one. He was the Quake Master, and he was the one causing. But it turned out he wasn't actually causing the. I think it's Jim Craig. Yeah, Jim Craig. I don't like the. It's got the Venom that I hate with the big, like, super, too big, wide, too much slobber, and it's just, Hera agrees, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. I didn't really like that one. Did you like that one?
Not really.
See, there was a trial of Venom one that we skipped over. It was a mail-away one. That one was actually pretty decent, where Venom goes on trial.
Yeah.
Or something like that, but, like, this one's dumb. That's why we didn't do a whole video for it. We were like, we'll just talk about it at the end of here. But it's in this Venom Enemy Within story. So this has Funeral Pyre, The Madness, Enemy Within, and that Incredible Hulk story. As silly as that is, I like Funeral Pyre. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. We liked Madness to an extent. Enemy Within's a little...
Yeah.
Enemy Within's very silly.
Enemy Within is...
But...
It's something.
What I would recommend is getting the first issue. Because you get that glow-in-the-dark cover.
Yeah.
That's what I would recommend. And I wouldn't recommend hunting out the Hulk Venom issue, because right now I think that's like a $20 comic book.
Really?
It's not worth it. Just buy this. This thing's $25. You get all. Funeral Pyre's awesome. But Lethal Protector, nothing's topped that yet.
No, not really.
But let's see what happens next week when we talk about Venom the Mace. I remember being a child reading this one. Not a child, but I remember being younger reading this one and not liking it. So we shall see what happens next week. Join us for Venom the Mace. Happy Halloween from all of us here at Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is
Brooks.
We've been talking about Venom the Enemy Within here on Comics Revisited. Join us for future episodes of this and other things like the weekly comic book review, podcast. All that and more can be found here on the YouTube channel and at popculturephilosophers.com. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Keep on digging and reading and revisiting. And we're still working on this. Umbrellas. Could that someone be Mac tonight? Can you see that? Oh, I think you can see that in every video. That's awesome. That's what I want.
That's probably the most prominent thing.
Where'd that book go?
I don't know.
Is it out there?
Shit.
Couldn't that someone be Mac tonight? Yo, that Hera, she's a good dog. And they know that in San Fran, when that doggy gets real hungry, then she starts acting rough. Did you find it?
Yep.
You shut that all the way.
You shut all the way.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Let's do this.